The arch and the old courthouse are right there. We'll have a beautiful shot from this vantage point as we head to the 1 minute mark at this point. 1 minute to go until the year 2000 here in St. Louis.
John,
a Sky Zoom 4 shot of the fireworks and a shot from across the river in addition to this location. And now we have 50 seconds to go until the year 2000 here in St. Louis.
John, I would wish that everyone in that crowd would rush over and plant a big wet kiss on you.
Well, we'll see. We have this rope around, but you never know what could happen because
John, I would
the year
just
2000 is a whole different ballgame.
30
we have 30 seconds to go.
All right. We're going to, shut up here, John, and let you take it from here. What do we got, Larry?
We're coming down to 20 seconds, John. It's all yours. Take us right into the year 2000.
Let's count it down. We'll count it down from 15. 15, St. Louis. Less than 15. Here we go. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year, St. Louis. Welcome to the year 2000.
It's a similar problem for St. Louis bands as it was 10 years ago, which is that they can have the greatest show of their career on any given night, and the same 50 people are there to watch it, and there's nobody there who can scream to the country, hey, this band was just the greatest band in the world tonight. You know, I've seen the greatest band in the world, 10 times in St. Louis on any given night. That's and I'm paraphrasing what Keith Richards said about rock and roll, which is that on any given night, every night there's a different greatest rock and roll band in the world. When somebody asked him, whether he thought the Stones were the greatest rock and roll band, he said no, every different night there's a different greatest rock and roll band. And that happens in St. Louis just as often as it happens anywhere else. It's just that there's not that many people here to scream to everyone else that, here it was tonight.
I definitely feel like what I did in the 80s, what I did in high school, and the people that I met are incredibly valuable to me and are why I do what I do. And the success of, me doing what I do, I feel is directly related to working on what I worked on here in St. Louis and the people that I've met and worked with and the bands that I met so I guess I feel I'm totally proud of where I'm from, and I like coming back here, and I'm really happy that there are people making music and putting out zines, and people have labels and websites about St. Louis punk, and it's cool, because it really, being in California, a lot of people are not from California. They all migrate out there. So, I definitely feel an affinity for people who come from scenes like the one I came from.
Open your mouth, show them. Stop being a pussy. Show them, say, what is your man on your lip? Come on. Ow, you call me again. Give me like
I think it's beautiful, Really I do, because I get to listen to it even though I'm sitting here listening at home. When I'm out there, I hear it. So it's pretty good. I enjoy them coming and playing the band and stuff,
For all you music fans out there, we got a scene going here. Like I said, follow the local community stations, college stations, your local press here. Take a couple chances. Ask the guy, the dishwasher, or the guy making the pizzas, and check the underground scene. It's out there and it's happening. Just a matter of you to find it out, and it's not that hard to find.
Songs because it sounds like shit and you know when to stop. Okay. Walking courage.
I wanted to start a band because why was it? Oh, because there was people like sophomore year, they were trying out for Battle of the Bands, and so I was like, hey, I want to be in Battle of the Bands. And then I started asking people.
It's all started by high school.
No, because I was talking about it better of the bombs, and then I asked people. I asked Sarah if she wanted to play, and I asked Mila, and we asked this Kelly girl if she wanted to play drums, and Sarah's like, how about Tim? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we were gonna have a keyboardist originally. Isn't that true? There was this girl, Angie.
Yeah.
Gonna be like the Go-Go's or something.
Yeah.
Why did she do it again?
Because that first show that we had, she didn't practice with us, and she came and she was just gonna try to play stuff even though she didn't know what songs we were playing or whatever. And then when she finally came, she was like, okay,
I think she thought we were bad because our first show was
she thought we were
Aaron Waldman's
good.
house.
Really? She was like,
That was
someone
a bad
was saying
show.
bad stuff about us, and she was all defending us, and was like, you don't understand. They've only been playing it's like the third time they've only played one of these songs, and blah blah blah.
I hate Aaron.
And they call us the worthless angels sometimes.
I've never heard that. You
haven't heard that? Yeah, people at their school call us the Worthless Angels.
But I think that's a cool name too. Doesn't it sound like a neat name?
They're mocking us.
I know, but say that we originally were. Okay, never mind.
Make sure I come in with the then he asked me.
Okay, you do that twice. Like,
Yeah, I know, but every time that I come in right when I'm supposed to, when I say I felt so happy I almost cried, it's at the wrong time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, which time?
Like the second time I say, and then he asks me,
Let's see.
I want to try it.
I like to have angels like in the name. I don't know. I just like always had a thing for angels. And then I was thinking of adjectives to put in front of angel. And did you help me think of reckless? Because I was thinking about like careless. And then I was like, the other ones were really stupid. And I was like, reckless.
Remember when I said onomatopoeia and you guys were laughing?
Yeah, I hated
that. That was Angie's favorite
like
word.
Yeah, I
My favorite word is onomatopoeia, and we have to have a band called onomatopoeia. It's like, okay.
This was before me.
And I'll tell you
Let's just see if it does it again.
Okay.
But just know that like you do that twice.
When I was specifically saying we were looking for a drummer, and then Don was the one who was like, "Hey, Tim wants to be in your band," you know?
I didn't know that's
and I'm like,
bullshit.
"Oh my god!"
That's such bullshit. I told you a long time. I told you that I play drums and guitar, and you're like, you just weren't paying attention.
Single circle. Chili Mac.
You put that over there.
Turkey melt. Yeah. Thank you.
Regular fries. And you want cheese? Yes, please. All right. It worked out.
I've never met him, but Tim's grandfather, who he has never met either, he passed away before me and my wife were married. It's my wife's dad, and the way I understand is that he was a pretty good guitarist and singer, drummer. He really liked Hank Williams type of music, which I can, take or leave. But he, from my stories from my wife and my wife's mother, my mother-in-law, he must have been pretty good and really into it. And all my children, I guess it's from him, because all of them pick up on any instrument they grab a hold of, and just like that. And as far as myself goes, I cannot carry a tune with a dog. I'll pick up a guitar once in a while, and I have no idea what string is. The only string I would have any experience with would be a G string. I know about them. That's about it.
I have a day job. I'm a machinist. I work on CNC machinery, which is computerized numerical control machinery. So I do that during the day, play dad at night, and play rock and roll on the weekends.
I want rock and roll all night, What?
Rock and roll drummer has no responsibilities at all. He shows up for practice, shows up for gigs. No responsibility. The only responsibility is to stay sober enough to go get the kids after the gig. I'm not used to having responsibility, so there was a lot of things that are new and surprising. I don't smoke in the house. I don't cuss. That's why you see me with 3 packs of cigarettes at a gig, and cussing like a sailor. I don't, I gotta watch what I play. If I play music, I gotta watch what I play on the radio or in the car or whatever. There's a lot of responsibilities. The day of the gig, okay. Especially if it's a weeknight or a Friday night, that's when it gets really hard. I get off work at 3:30. I come home, I get the kids, get them all dressed and ready. Drive them down to Arnold, which is about a half-hour drive south of here. I'll make sure they eat first, then make sure they eat, then I drive them down to Arnold, then I come back, take a shower, load up my drums. That's usually about 6 or 6:30 by then. I may have about 10 or 15 minutes for me to eat myself, get cleaned up, get my drums loaded in the car, head to the gig, be the first one there, but still be a half hour late. Be able to have a beer or two, play the gig, leave, and possibly do the whole thing over again on the way home, depending on if the grandparents can watch the kids overnight. But I have had to get home at actually 3, 4 in the morning after a gig, getting the kids and getting them back home. And by the time they get home, they're wide awake, so that may be another hour before they go back to sleep. It's a lot of work for 45 minutes, but it's worth it. Sweet dreams. Bye-bye. Night-night. Tony, I love you. I'll see you later.
I think there was a lot of new waivers back then, too. Were there, like, 19... Okay. 1990.
Maybe more people.
I haven't heard a lot of older St. Louis stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. Grunge? I don't know if I mean
metal. I think there were more metal bands back then.
Because he had like what, Fragile, Gravity Kills.
That was before Fragile.
That was way before Fragile. 10 years ago?
Yeah.
91. If not, they were like just starting out. I think it was probably before. What was the beginning about right there when they started going?
Probably Dazzling Kilmos around back then.
Soldier Man.
I don't Chuck Berry, but I think that was a little long.
Early 60s, even before I was a preteen. In those days, there were a lot of teen towns for kids, and that's one thing you don't have now in the current scene. Clubs that were just out there for teens, no alcohol served. Shows at 8 o'clock, ended at 10 o'clock. Mostly just shows during the summer. You couldn't see the stuff during the school year. And I think there was a lot more outdoor shows. It was amazing. Bands would play before the start of a drive-in movie. There would be pool parties. There would be a lot more outdoor shows, the Battle of the Bands in malls, in the mall parking lots, you know. And I think that there was a lot of stuff you could go to for free and see a lot of bands. So I got to know a lot of these band members, and you got to meet a lot of fans of these bands, and I think that was a big start. There was so much going on at that time.
I used to, on a Friday, Saturday night, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, go over to East St. Louis. There's a club called the Apollo Club. And some of the places where they play at now reminds me of this particular place. But every once in a while I'd bump into Chuck Berry. He used to come in with his cashmere coat, real tall guy, and his curly hair and big brim hat. Every now and then he'd sing a song for us. And there were some pretty good bands that played there.
The one that I followed the most, and when they were based here, and they lived here in St. Louis for all the way up to the early 70s, Ike and Tina Turner. They played this club on the north side on West Florissant and Goodfellow called the Club Imperial. And you could see Ike and Tina Turner all the way up to like 69 or 70 for $2 at the most. And that was a wild experience. And a good R&B scene. There was a good rock and roll scene. I think too, Blue-Eyed Soul became really big. By that I mean white bands doing soul music. When Bob Cuban had a nationwide hit with The Cheater in '65. And overnight, there was an explosion of bands on the scene because everybody thought, man, if Bob Cuban can do this, so can we. So it was amazing. People would get the matching suits, 4 or 5 horn players, a good Blue-Eyed Soul singer, a good female singer in the band too for background vocals. And at 65, when Bob Cuban had that hit, it was just amazing the number of bands. There was a lot of them at that time to begin with, but there was an explosion after that because these bands would say, hey, We can never be the next Beatles or the Rolling Stones, but by God, we can do what Bob Keevan's doing.
1973 to 1983. Head shop, head shop, head shop. Okay. KDI. Oh, radio station of the time.
Late 70s, during the so-called New Wave movement, what they called, that was another thing for punk rock, but it also incorporated other genres of music, from everything from the revitalization of girl group music through Blondie, through the roots rock and roll scene, through people like Dave Edmunds, Nick Lowe with the power pop scene. And I think in those days, when our scene here in St. Louis was kind of behind the times as far as the number of local groups doing it or national acts coming in, and it was a lot of fly-by-night venues. And what happened in those days, I really wasn't that noticeable because there'd be a bunch of us doing the solo dancing thing. Just some people would just be doing the pogo thing up and down, but you didn't notice it then. But I started developing my moves right around that time. That's when I started doing the solo dancing thing in the mid-70s to late 70s when the New Wave explosion. That's when a good magazine at that time started, Jet Lag Magazine, which was started by a guy called John the Mailman and Steve Pick. Steve Pick now works for the Riverfront Times, and they started this wonderful rock and roll magazine. They started documenting it on a monthly basis, and Tony Renner actually had a big hand in that now too. He's a big guy at KDHX, Community Radio, also at Vintage Vinyl, where Steve also works. And those three people really got together and started covering the scene, making it well known to other people, covering national acts, local acts. And they start documenting it. Hey, here's a good place to see some local music. These new clubs here, come on down, you'll feel a part of it. And they introduced you to not only a lot of new clubs, but introduced you to a great group of new fans of music. And if you found out that there was other people searching for a new sound as well. And I think Jet Lag had a lot to do with it those days. And the underground scene starts swelling up because of that magazine, as well as other clubs getting the word out.
Jet Lag was a local fanzine. It was just a really good fanzine that had national distribution, and they would do really great interviews with the Meat Puppets and Sonic Youth, like a lot of the SST bands, Husker Du, and the new wave stuff like Violent Femmes, and it was cool because, like I said, it had a St. Louis address and all this other stuff.
I almost want to say it was a free little giveaway, but it wasn't. John Newellman and Steve Pick charged money for it from the start, so it made it a little more important because it wasn't free. You actually had to give someone 50 cents for it. So after you bought it, people would hang on to it a little bit more. The first one was Xerox, just a little 12-page thing, and it made money from day one, apparently, somehow. Sometime, I think, just because of John the Mailman footed the bills and didn't keep really that big of an eye on it. It was like, it'll work out. That's okay. I'll loan him $50 this month. Next month, I'll make it back. It'll be great. But it was fun. The joke right before I became involved was called the Fun 100, and the same 100 people came out to see everything. And obviously, you can't have a very viable music scene with 100 people because they can't see everything. But I remember old issues of Jet Lag. There would be the concert calendar for the month, and there would be 6 things on it. There are 6 things to choose from almost every night now.
That was like original crowd that came along. I came along around the end of that crowd, the beginning of like the second crowd, which
was the punk rock. Hardcore.
Yeah, well, White Pride was the first thrash band, is what they called it. It wasn't even hardcore. It was like, this is a thrash band, And they played at Billy Goat Hill, which was at the corner of Shoto and 39th. I think it's some King Louis now or something like that. Husker Du played there. Apparently they were so loud that you couldn't stand inside. There was like maybe 20 people there. They were all out in the street because you literally couldn't stay inside. But that's where they played their first show. It was picketed by the Communist Party, I think, or something crazy like that. It made minor headlines in the paper. And then they played with Scream, I guess, in '83, like in September of '83. But they were the first band that was like a hardcore band. Like around that time, it was them. And then, well, me and Rob's band, White Suburban Youth, we didn't play out. We started playing, I guess, like the end of '82, and then we didn't actually play our first live show until April of '84.
Ultraman, I remember seeing them when they were White Suburban Youth, and then turned into Ultraman, and it was cool just to see them, like, with the bass player. Sometimes he'd be naked, sometimes he wouldn't. They have different theme shows. They did a show at this bar, I don't remember the name of it. It was like the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, where they had like all these TV screens up on stage playing, I believe it was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they had the stage was all red lights and everything.
Despite all the chaos of dealing with John Green, he did all those shows. If it hadn't been for him, there wouldn't have really been an Ultraman, I don't think. I mean, because the only reason we existed, the reason we got anywhere, was because we played with every band. I mean, you couldn't go to a show without seeing us. I mean, I'm sure people were sitting out in their cars waiting till we were done because they didn't want to see us again. I'm sure people would like look at their watch and go, well, Ultraman's probably still on. We'll go to the show later. Because I would call him up and just be like, what do you got coming in the next few months? He would tell me what shows he had coming on. I go, I want this, I want this, I want this. I don't want to, you know, that's how we would get on shows. It was random. I mean, shows would just be wherever the promoter could get a place to do them. You know, whatever bar or hall he could rent. Because usually you'd roll in there and you'd tell them what you wanted to do, and you just really wouldn't tell them it was a punk rock show. Within the minute the minute the show happens, you're never coming back. I remember when I first started going to shows in Kansas City in the summer of '84, Kansas City kids didn't like us because they were more of an LA pit. They were like the whole circle thing, which eventually came here like a year or two later. But the St. Louis pit was also because I think it was because of where the shows were really, really small. Like the first show I went, Circle Jerks Limbo Club, was about the size of this room. There was no stage. I mean, it was Circle Jerks right there, giant PA and no stage, and the pit was just, you know, all these people piled on top of one another, just flailing basically into one another. And that was it. I would leave a show with bruises up and down my arms and legs, my ribs. I mean, I couldn't even skate the next day. I'd just been laying on a ramp going, oh, I can't move. You know, and it was always fun.
I'm not very tall, so if there's ever a chance, I'm gonna stand in the front of the crowd, you know, near the stage. So I really would do that more than be in the pit or whatever, and would just get horrible bruises on my legs and get my feet stamped on, and you know, get kicked, or you know, people come behind you can't see them. So you know, at the day after shows, we used to me and my girlfriend used to compare like the bruises that we had.
But while headbanging, you might want to use the buddy system. You go put it like this. Put your arm around your face. Like that. It's kind of called a buddy system. Some of you might want to try to really experience. Good advice, you know, for all you fledgling headbangers.
Turner's was a club that the neighbors would always call. The shows would always run late till like 2, 3 in the morning. Sometimes it seemed like, and the neighbors would always call the police and complain.
The club was in the middle of this like completely scary, like Deliverance style white trash neighborhood, and they didn't like us at all. And it wasn't even like they wanted to break into your car and steal your stuff. They wanted to beat you up. You know, they wanted to like jump you in the street and just hit you. And you know, I don't even remember what happened. There was just a lot of skinheads and a lot of just dirtbags fighting in the street. And somebody pulled a street sign out of the, you know, like out of the dirt, like it had the big hunk of concrete on it, and they were swinging that around, and somebody got their head busted open. And but I see,
nobody knows how it began.
It's so, you know, That's what I mean. It's like I'm so jaded. Like, yeah, the guy fell down, his head busted open. It just didn't faze me. You're like, yeah, whatever.
The neighborhood locals would all be waiting outside. The rednecks would all be waiting to fight everyone inside. There'd just be fights everywhere in the street. And we'd just walk through it because we were long hairs, and the punks knew who we were, so they didn't want to fight us, and the rednecks just assumed we were rednecks too, so they didn't fight us, and we'd just walk through with our guitar cases and, you know, not have to fight, but it was chaos.
You guys ready? We got whoppers somewhere. Where the fuck is it? You guys are a bunch of fucking shit.
The 80s are a blur, man. Like I said, I was hammered. I mean, we would show up at a show hammered. I mean, falling out of the car drunk, go in and get drunker, and so everything's a blur. I didn't really, you know, we were a bunch of long hairs invading this punk scene, you know, expecting to get our ass kicked.
Everybody run outside and drink a beer. You can come back in for a buck, man. It's fucking... Why buy a beer for $2 when you can go outside and drink 3 of them for $1? It's fun. Fuck! I'll fucking kick your ass, man. You're a fucking asshole.
I can remember, like, about the late 80s, early 90s, that was when the big, you know, I don't know if it was so much hair bands, but the big bands that were local bands that could sell out Mississippi Nights, like, regularly.
Kennedy's in the late 80s, and that was like the scene of headquarters of the alternative scene. And today there's probably 10 clubs around St. Louis that are doing similar kind of stuff, but it's just not quite the same. It's just gotten broader and more watered down.
I think it was kind of exciting to have, I wouldn't say rivalries, but there were certainly differences between a lot of groups that played the Landing, let's say, and played the Loop, and some groups that didn't quite fall into either camp. And it seemed as if that sort of spurred things. I mean, there maybe was a little bit of competition that was good. You had groups that were very established, Big Fun, The Eyes, and The Unconscious, who sort of ruled the Landing. And then you had a lot of pop groups playing out of U-City, and then other groups, again, that played, you know, punk bands at the Bernard Pub, or other groups that sort of, again, coalesced around certain clubs.
All right, that's not enough love at all. I need to hear some love for the 2 DJs and me. If you guys into the boom tap, you ought to listen to it. Recognize what it's all about. Who the fuck wants a sun kiss? Who does want a sun kiss? I'm gonna give it to my old drummer. I score points that way. That's all good. That's all true, like you do. Thanks a lot.
KDHX. Where would St. Louis be without it? It's the last bastion of decent radio in this entire city, basically. I mean, without KDHX, I don't know. I probably wouldn't be here. You know, seriously, you need something at the core of the local media, you know, to really help the local music scene.
What it is a community radio station, which means we're not allied with any university or other organization. The Double Helix Corporation owns the radio station and the cable television in the city, and it has a board of directors which can be elected from just anybody.
KDHX began 13 years ago. In October of 2000, it celebrated its 13th anniversary. One of really about a dozen stations of its kind in the U.S. There are a couple small alternative chains, but KDHX has a real unique role in St. Louis because it's, again, listener supported. In the past year, there have been a couple local shows that have gone away. A show I did called Radio Free St. Louis and Sounds About Town. But the idea was that all the shows really promote local music. So within a Latin show, if there's a Latin local group, you will hear their music. And the rock shows, I know, play quite a bit of local stuff. Especially the shows after midnight. It seems they have a real passion for playing the local groups and having groups play maybe their first sort of radio live dates, their first studio appearances actually right here in this studio, Studio B. I know for a lot of groups it's, you know, if nothing else, just sort of an exciting night to come down to a radio station and play a live set. And I think it's always a great form of radio. I love when I sort of come across the dial and hear a band playing live.
Let's go! Way back!
I had a show, mostly just punk and hardcore and ska stuff that I did on KYMC out in West County, which is at Maryville College. And so I had that show for a while, but then, you know, like I said, I left St. Louis, and then when I returned, I decided I was kind of getting into the garage stuff more. After I lived in Kansas City for a while, I heard bands like the Mono Men and the Mummies and Super Suckers. And, you know, it was the more high-octane, like, rock and roll type stuff than the real fast hardcore punk. And I was really getting into that, and of course all like the surf stuff and the sleazy, trashy rock and roll. So, came up with a plan for a show, man. There was a show in Kansas City that was very similar to it called Country Jesus and Hillbilly Blues, and it's still on the air at KKFI. I listen to that show a lot, so that's probably where I got the original idea for the Wayback Machine.
Bring any deadbolts.
This goes here.
It'll scratch shit out, and it'll be.
And then this will go somewhere. I haven't decided yet.
It'll have all kinds of hieroglyphics written down the side, so when I take the list home, I mean, it looks nice and neat right now, but by the end of the night, it'll be completely screwed up. There'll be arrows going every which way. Not to mention, his handwriting is already like.
There's a lot of good shows to listen to on KDHX that have like. You just know you can listen to Afternoon Delight. Jeff has a show, or the Wayback Machine, Copper Show, or Greaser's Lunchbox. You're always gonna, they're always gonna, those guys are like, they're doing their shows because they have tons of music that they want to show people and turn people on to.
33 minutes after 1 o'clock.
We're here to rock you tonight.
Yes, we are.
We're here to rock you tonight.
Got some shows coming up here in the upcoming week. Going to tell you about those Monday, May 1st. That's this Monday.
Let's just rock.
Flathead Jacks and the Benders at the Way Out Club. And then Tuesday, the Vice Squad with Very Metal at the Side Door. On Wednesday, there's that big Dick Dale show down at the Side Door with the Trip Daddies and the Untamed Honkies.
Rock!
And then there's on Thursday, May 4th, Ray Kondo and his Ricochets with the Loaded 45s. Next up, we've got another one of the tracks from the new Swingin' Neckbreakers CD, The Return of Rock. If you can get past the cheesy artwork on the cover, you'll find some good rock and roll music within the grooves of this disc. If you can see the grooves, it's, you know, a CD.
There's a cartoony thing kind of happening.
The name of the song is Mystery Woman.
There's an original, untitled as of yet. Cicero's used to have the coolest bands come in there and play, and they were awesome, and such as the Queers. They used to play, they played Cicero's, and the Smugglers. That's the first place I saw the Smugglers play. Just bands like that, and now it's gone over to I don't know, Deadhead, tree-hugging hippie crap.
All the owners have to be spoon-fed. They don't go out there looking for bands that might be good. They just want to get as many people as they can, make as much money as quick as possible, instead of actually like booking legendary shows that can happen. And right now it's not happening.
Yeah, it's suicide to open a club these days, but it'll change.
See, this is kind of an uneducated statement because I'm not sure, but it's not an example, but there's so many good bands that don't play here. And I don't know if it's because they don't want to play here or if it's because the club owners don't bother to try to get someone to come here, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know how it works because I don't run a club.
I mean, this really isn't a job that people would think to appreciate, but I don't think people fully appreciate it. And I bet, if I were to leave, then they'd probably notice. And that's what it's like. It takes a lot to bring in good shows. A little hello to Dirty Three. Bands write messages to each other. Some parts of it are fun. Each thing, there's no set in stone how it is. So each thing's different. Here, it's hard because I have to do so much. I just want to book talent and go see shows, but I have to deal with all this other stuff because because it's a small club. Employees, the bar, liquor, security, a bunch of junk. There's different ways of doing it. So if sometimes I have a show that I need a certain type of band, so I go and ask all my people in the city just who know things, music people. This is what I'm looking for. Have you heard anything? And sometimes I'll get a new idea. It's like, yeah, this sounds great. It doesn't matter who sent me a demo. But if a band calls me up and says we want a gig there, I'm like, send me a demo. Wow, that's a nice one. I never noticed that one before. The Death Star. Is this Mike? Hi, it's Lisa at Sidor. It cracks me up when bands call me up and say, well, we've been around for a while, but you've never seen them in the paper. You never see, it's like no one knows you. Why should I book you? Bands need to work. They need to, network. Get other bands to know about them. Get the media to know about them. Okay, thanks, bye.
For the local bands, they send me a demo, and I'm probably the only club in town that gives everybody one chance. And so when they come in and play, it's not even necessarily they have to be good. They just have to make an effort, because the way I see it, if they're out doing it and they're out playing, that's all right for me. If they're terrible, it's just not that big of a deal to me as long as they're making an effort to get people and stuff like that. I'm not bigger than the bands.
Friendly, just a place if you like to hear loud, crazy rock music, it's the place to go.
The Creepy Crawl it's a really small, dirty punk rock club, the way it's supposed to be.
Definitely check out the building. You need to investigate the building, make sure it's going to be okay for one, for opening a bar, and two, that it's actually set up to be a nightclub without too much of major modifications being necessary. Make sure you have enough money. We had less money than we thought we were going to need. Make sure you're capitalized well enough. That's a big thing. Just take all your expenses and double it. Figure out your what you expect your first year revenues are and cut those in half. The first year was really rough. Just keep at it. If as long as you just kind of stick with it. Just make sure you're cool on all the licensing stuff. You got to do city, state, federal liquor licenses. You got to get an occupancy permit for your building. You got to get it inspected. You got to make sure it's
is okay to use as a nightclub. Once you try and change the usage, you've got to, it's got to be ADA compliant. You got to have it worked out ahead of time with with the landlord. Try and get your taxes paid. Make sure understand, small business taxes. Advisable to have an accountant if you've never been in the business before. You don't get too screwed. You're gonna get screwed no matter what. It's just trying to minimize the screwiness. That's pretty much it.
It's gotten to the point here where everybody wants to play here, and which is kind of cool. But it's gotten to the point where I'll already have a night booked, and then some national act will want to come through, and I want to do that too. So then we have to work around that and try and move some shows. And lately, that's my biggest job is moving shows. And so I guess it could be worse. I could not have the shows to move. So
the Creepy Crawl. I think Shannon down there does a great job down there. He gives all these unknown bands a chance to play. And although they're not my cup of tea, being more hardcore punk, there is a crowd out there for it. And I'm glad he's giving these kids a chance. And God bless his heart, the fans come to see each particular band. And I'm hoping some other fans will come out as well.
I think that, I don't want to use the word organization, but that cooperative has a really interesting approach. They're almost militantly anti getting the word out. You have to sort of stumble across it in ways. There have been a few stories in the RFT, but they certainly don't project a lot into the community. You sort of have to come to them. I think it would be wonderful if there were other, again, scenes sort of doing that. And it doesn't have to be as concerted an effort as they do, because they're extremely organized in their own fashion. But again, if groups sort of look at a space, sort of take it over as a place where they can work, whether it be the Art Loft or other locations along Washington or University City, I think that'd be an exciting thing.
It's just so cool to go to a place that small. It's like, it's kind of annoying that it's that small, but at the same time, you're like, how can you hate this though? Because these kids are doing something with virtually nothing, and they're making something out of it. That's awesome. They were able to get the permit for the place, for crying out loud. In the Hill, an old neighborhood like that with lots of older people that don't want to have anything to do with punk rockers, That's pretty cool. Just that they had that wherewithal to get their shit together and do something like that.
I just want to say St. Louis has the best rock crowds anywhere. Every time we come here, we're just like blown away. This is Father's Day. She was late, worried sick. I said, why I got a test to tell her so. 15 minutes time, I lies her upside down outside where you are. Trying hard you very much.
This little group's been together for about a year now. You should hear some of me and Joe's old tapes.
They had high squeaky voices. They sing like this. Miss Plaidman. Oh yeah.
It's the Plaid Man theme. It's the Plaid Man theme song. You've heard of Plaid Man, right? He wears plaid. He's a man. We play in this backyard all the time, and we play at other people's houses.
Okay.
And we're playing at a wedding this weekend. It's gonna be a pretty big event. And we're playing the Family Arena on May 6th. It's big stuff.
We're headlining, not really.
Where's the paper, dude?
We need this paper.
Paper over here. Alright, it's really hard to draw a diagram. We don't have anything to write on.
When we go get the Sailor Moon book?
No. We need their paper. It's gotta be official.
Hey, listen, he's playing corn. He's awesome.
Who's in charge here?
Who's in charge?
My brother's used to about 10 cymbals. We got the double bass pedal, so that's not a problem.
Any tape on you?
Do you have the extra paper?
Tape? Is anything that's up there for them so they can see it while they're playing?
Are you guys watching the stuff?
No, totally late.
Did they? Who did?
Everybody's gotta be out here.
Everybody's gotta be out here?
Okay.
Alright, whatever.
Nobody will take our stuff.
Sure would be nice if there was some paper out here.
It's 12:15 now, and the first band was supposed to go on at 12, and Mosh is still sound checking, and they don't play till 7, so I don't know what the deal is, but the other drum set is like still on the side of the stage, and I've got to be at the musical at my school at 6 o'clock. I won't get to see us win.
There's gonna be 4 bands up there at a time. Like the band that's going first is gonna put their stuff up on stage. Okay. And the second, third, and fourth band are gonna put their stuff off to the side. Okay. As the first band playing the second band, we're putting their stuff behind them. They move up, and they have stage hands to help set up like to mic the amps and stuff, so we won't have to worry about like setting stuff on. We do it more of the music. Those guys are pretty dumb.
We finished up the second session?
No, we're after Wax. We're 6th.
Are they still on?
Yeah, they just got on. They were after us.
No way.
Alright, next band up is Force of Five. Anybody know it? I can't hear you. John, Dan, and Mr. Brand. Alright, let's hear it for Force of Five song.
Two minutes, guys. We're fast
here's things that suck. Mesh sucks. Mesh sucks. Mesh sucks. Battle of the Band sucks, and Mars sucks.
Yeah, this whole thing just sucks.
Well, you have to go look out, make sure there's no one out there. All right, hold it up real quick.
Oh, it says pretty. And there's just gonna big rock out here. You didn't see this. I'm sorry. Dan, what's so much? Dan,
what dirt is the principal
The first place winner today, and we are going to absolutely shatter this joint with how much noise you guys make. The first place winners today, the winner of today's Battle of the Bands goes to Fly from August. Guys, come on up. I talked to these guys right after they got done, and they were a little bit discouraged, but the judges absolutely loved you, and first place goes to Fly from August. Come on up, guys. Congratulations. Still to come this evening, So Muhammad, in just a second, and next we'll get to them.
It was interesting.
It was an experience.
Yeah. After getting kicked off, like cut off in the middle of our last song, we were kind of angry, but we realized, it was still fun. We got to play on this huge stage in front of, a few people.
Arena Rock.
Arena Rock, that's what we are.
We got some nice pictures for the homepage.
Nice pictures for the homepage.
Best we've ever sounded, probably.
Yeah.
I think it was really cool to be able to play such a big place. We're used to playing in like small basements or in like small clubs or something like that, but
or not at all.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest place we've ever played. It's kind of cool, being able to go backstage and having all the people there cheering.
Mess with Mesh's locker room.
Why were you so pissed with Mesh that day?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, why don't you
Mesh was like, they for some reason they think that they're above local bands, although they are a local band. And so they take like 2.5 hours sound checking, and then they're just like, you know what, screw all these other high school and local bands. We'll just get out of here, and they went somewhere.
Fucking left all day.
Went to Chesterfield Mall just to hang out because they were too good to listen to all of us after pushing us back for over an hour and a half.
That cut into our time.
Yeah, and plus that made the prices $15 for tickets. Who's gonna pay $15 to see one band that's gonna play 3 songs?
They demanded tons of money.
So of course
that's why hardly anyone came to the show.
We cut then because of that. Because the time was cut short because of their excessively long sound check. We got cut off halfway through, which may have cost us the win. Not that I think we should have won or could have won, but I mean, we might have won had we played our entire set.
It was still fun.
It was still a good show, though. I mean, they can suck it.
Yeah,
we were still good. We're still the greatest.
I think Mars was cool for the Battle of the Bands, but as far as Mesh, I got him a little souvenir. It's right there. It is. Oh.
Okay, let me think. Something about the scene. Okay, here's something about the scene. I got something. A lot of good bands, no one comes to the shows, my friend. There's a problem with the scene. You got all these kids that say, man, we need better punk bands out there. We need better, better shows, better places. And you could have the show of the century. You could have Minor Threat playing with Black Flag, opening up, in like Fear or something, and you'd have like 10 people there because the scene sucks because it's just a bunch of little kids.
They just won't go see them. Like Agent Orange, Punk Legends, 30 people there.
You could put together the most great show, and sometimes people just don't come.
10 years ago, not everybody had a computer like they do now, and not everybody had PlayStations like they do now. There was no such thing as raves, and it's just harder for the bands now to get people out for shows.
People are so hooked to their TV and mesmerized and hypnotized, it's kind of scary because we have a live band upstairs and we've got a TV monitor in the middle of the room that's, basically showing the band playing, and I'll see half the people in the bar sitting there watching the TV rather than the live band playing right in front of them, and I'm like, watch the real, they're just, I guess it's habit. I don't know, it's scary, because it's like they're that used to just, there's a TV on.
Seeing earring in your lip, or
maybe in wherever else, there ain't no telling, but it's kind of turns your head for just, for a second or so. I talked to one of Tim's friends that used to be in the band the other day, Ashley. I don't know what Ashley's last name is. What is it?
Swanson.
Swanson. Ashley Swanson. She was showing me her new tattoo, and just takes a little getting used to, as because in my era growing up, women just didn't have tattoos.
Yeah, there was lots of spiked hair last night. All sorts of it, just everywhere. Spike.
I always go back and forth. It's like, I see a kid with like a mohawk or, a good fin, I'm always impressed with a good fin, or Liberty spikes. And on one hand, it's like, well, that's cool. But on the other hand, it is almost like, 20 years later, people dressing like hippies. It's weird. I flip back and forth on that, But I guess if I had to choose, I'd rather see kids with 1977 style fins than bell bottoms and long hair and patchouli and tie dye. Because I'd still feel compelled to hit them. I don't feel compelled to hit a guy with a fin.
There's so many bands out there.
We were just sitting around one day, like, we're a band,
We started off as a joke. We were joking.
Yeah, we were just joking at first. And then, got serious about it. And, I listen to my music and I started playing my guitar,
I started writing lyrics.
I have, 5 or 6 songs right now.
They're not finished, though.
These days, everyone's in band, it seems like. You go around, it's like, in band? Yeah, so am I. It's like, I go to my school, there's only 6 people that are in the band.
It starts off with both of us going,
Yeah, just to see.
I saw your mom. How does that say, Mom?
Oh my god! This is what's said for my face right now. Oh my god.
So my mom walked down the street, holding out a thigh, looking for a piece of meat. She began to laugh and twirl her hair, but it began to stare. I saw Chris Pan walking down the street wearing his thong. He began singing do-dee-dee-dee-dum-dee-dee-doo. That's all we have right now.
Yeah, I think we wrote that one in 5th hour one day.
I think it's happening, but I'd still like to see more of it, more people becoming more involved with the local music scene than just, complaining about it or bragging about it.
They melted coal. Yeah, they made
What's up, everybody? We're not waiting for Johnny from St. Louis.
Run!
name's Phil. I do a magazine called Motion Sickness, and it's 80 pages, mostly newsprint, and comes out about twice a year, although I wish it would come out more often, but I do most of it myself. People contribute articles and columns and reviews, and I have friends help me, and I distribute it, and I mostly give it away free in St. Louis. One day I said, screw it, I'm gonna do a zine. And I just started doing it, and like I said, it snowballed into this. I don't know how many hours a week I put into it, but I don't want to know, because if I found out, I'd probably quit. When I started, I just winged it. I just started doing interviews and cut and paste. I didn't have a computer, I didn't have anything. I just did it the old school way, the way I knew. Put them all together and called up a bunch of printers and found the cheapest price and went and printed it up, and then found out that no one wanted to buy it, and I just blew $800. I was about to fold right there, but I had a second one laid out. So there went another $800. No one wanted to buy it, so then I decided to give it away for free instead of selling it and just get ads to cover the printing. That way I don't lose money. I've got a clue now. I have plans before I start an issue, who I want to do, who I want to cover, what kind of topics I want to cover, but I still wind up changing my mind half the time and winging it still. For a while there, I was getting way too drunk. I would interview a band after their set, and I would just be shit-faced. And trying to do an interview that drunk is stupid. So like if I was gonna do a best of, probably almost all the stuff that I didn't write. Like my friend Michelle has written a couple of awesome articles from a female perspective. I printed a piece on overpopulation that I transcribed from a professor at Wash U. I abhor transcribing interviews. I love doing them, but man, going back and listening to that tape and typing out the whole conversation sucks. But getting the finished product, coming back from the printer with my car completely loaded down with 2,000 magazines and, up to the roof in the back seat and in the passenger seat, and I'm driving like this, that's cool. Having the finished product in your hand, that's cool. That's a cool feeling. That and making friends.
If you could bring down the music, please. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all know who's coming on next. That would be the one, the only, okay!
to St. Louis's greatest radio show on KDHX every Monday from noon to 2. Every Monday from noon to 2, turn into the Greaser's Lunchbox and you'll hear this song right here, baby. There's a little spot that you gotta go at the end of the dial on your radio. Playing rockabilly, but the person and last. You can get real corny, you can get it there fast. Rockabilly, your good buddy Al is setting the pace. Rockabilly Bob is not a man, and there ain't no room for the two of his kids. Rockabilly Radio, my name is sorry for the bad, but I got you.
So instead of
I like the bop bops though.
well, no, I could do 2 bop bops because there's 4 of them. just couldn't say that, could you?
It's
I
okay.
might not have been able to say it
It's
either.
all right.
But when you're doing the...
It's okay.
I thought you were coming in on the...
I know. I fucked it up actually a little bit too.
Oh.
But there's certain words I can't sing either. I can't sing the words rock and roll.
Are you singing the words rock and roll?
No, but I mean, if you ever wanted me to, I couldn't. So if you want
to be the name of my next
if I don't,
yeah, so
if I want to protest against like jizz.
well, you don't have to sing the jizz words. I can change the lyrics, but you know, I'm just saying I can't sing the
song
words.
was going to be called rock
and roll.
Okay, here, let's start with this. What are we going to do for Friday and Saturday, more so Saturday?
We're playing the same show
Or, I mean,
twice.
Sunday. Sunday.
We're playing.
Not this Friday, but
No,
I'm sorry,
we-
Saturday and Sunday.
We're playing New Year's Eve, Eve, and New Year's Eve.
Yeah. But I didn't know that. Nobody told me.
Yeah, we did.
We're playing New Year's Eve.
And New Year's Eve Eve.
Nobody told me that. That's been on the schedule for
Months.
Yeah, actually 2 months now.
With Shane Club at the High Point, you knew about that.
Yeah.
That show's been booked for 2 months.
Gary told me about that. Alright.
Stop playing it and tell me the chords.
All right.
Like, I know the verse. I just want to know that other part.
That's the first chorus.
No, I don't really want to hear the lyrics much. I know the lyrics. Let's play it. You don't know it yet?
I'm still really confused, but go ahead.
You want to sing the beginning?
I know, girl. She's a punk rock queen.
It's been featured in all the
local magazines.
It's got a beat up. Oh, wait, no. Plays a beat
You
up.
sing about the guitar because I can't sing guitar and song.
Broadcaster guitar. Like, just.
It's hard enough singing punk rock queen.
I know. Well, I decided if you weren't such a.
I'm a lyric snob.
Well, at the time, it was
What?
perfect too.
Oh, because I was a punk rock queen.
Punk rock.
See, this song's about me when I was in my
This
old
song is
band.
about Jill and I first meeting. And it's not positive.
Yeah. Okay, and then we do D, dead.
Yeah, D-E-A-D, dead.
The first one is the D, right? That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is that? Where's that? That's after the chorus, the first chorus.
And then that never happens again, does it?
Never happens again. Back to original verse.
Go back. Okay, so we do the little.
Don't worry about that accent thing. Yeah,
And then we do the walk down again twice more. And then we go back into the verse.
We actually do the walk down after the D to E 4 times.
Right, after that we do the walk down twice then, and then we go back into a regular verse. Peekaboo, I can see.
She's doing the monkey see here.
I hate this part.
I know. But it's
Let's just play it 40 times. We'll know it then.
I know a girl, she's a punk rock queen. She's been featured in all the local magazines. She plays a beat up old broadcaster guitar. Oh yeah, all in life, all she wanted was to be a star. She's American made in the USA. Got the kind of love that'll blow you away. She's American made. After hours, it always tastes like a bit of heaven. Coming on the back of your Super 75 Hall. You don't give a fucking damn about no helmet law. She's American made in the USA. Got the kind of looks that'll blow you away. Like a sour off 16 page. She's American made. She's American made. Hey, hey. That's short. In fucking anime shopping. Totally forgot that. People all around to get you through, so you think. Say you're burning so way out of control. Bloodshot eyes and a bloody nose, stick a flow. She's American made in the USA. Got the kind of looks that'll blow you away. Like a sawed off 16 page. She's American made. She's American made.
Play that thing. It's the.
No, let's go with the song "Learn" first, and then we can figure out the go through it once, and then. I know a girl, she's because I hate singing this line over and over and over.
Leave me alone, you murderer! Wake up! There's a murderer on the train!
Who knows? I know a girl, she's got a sexy color. She wishes that she sang like Mark Bolan. She plays a beat on phone, broadcasting.
My name, Dancing Bobby, was come about from Mike Blake from Cicero's. A night that Milk Mine played on stage, they left the stage and I went up and picked up the bass, synthesized. It was a natural thing. Lou Kippy was there. And he's like, she's picking the bass up, she's playing it. And Mike Blake wrote in Jet Lag, Milk Mine was really impressed with Dancing Bobby. And that's where my name comes from. Always in St. Louis, okay? That's where I started. I've been dancing since I've been, well, my uncle's tavern, Bellini's Tap Room, down at Ivory Street, like with the horse crawl, the whole bit. I've been on a local scene for 30 years. Since I was almost 12 years of age. Bob Cuban, one of my best friends that died, Walter Scott, I helped him add up what he was going to make at a local CYC dance. That means a Catholic youth organization thing. I was 14. Boogied with Iggy Pop at the Washington Hotel. 150 people invited. Thank you, I was there. Thank you. Had a head shop, had a restaurant. Silversmithing under Suppy at Washington University. Okay, then I went to nursing school, graduated in 1984 with an A+ average. I hated it. My parents were so proud. I closed Cicero's down. So sad. Then came upon Kennedy's. I loved Kennedy's. And I closed Kennedy's down. I answered an ad for Wilco. Jeff Tweedy, and he said, Bobby, you're experimental, and I said, yeah, I am. He said, well, you know, honey, I would not be here if I didn't believe in it. What bothers me is everybody that was my age that was here, and we spoke. I was up at Washington University, okay? MC5. Motherfuckers. No. Scares the hell out of me. I feel like I'm the only one left.
All right, a couple of years ago, about a dozen folks got together to talk about, about a dozen different ideas about what a collectively run art center ought to be.
About halfway.
And after a few months of not always such diplomatic discussion and compromise, the Centro Sociale was opened on July 15, 1999. For some people, it was just a place to come and hang out and talk to people about cool shit, intelligent people, and so on. For some people, it was just a place to come and enjoy art that otherwise would have never seen the light of day. Again, music, painting, writing, whatever. But unfortunately, tonight, at this point, the collective passion that birthed the Centro Sociale has been quenched, but the individual passions of those who founded it have not been. And we're here not so much to celebrate the demise of the Centro Sociale, but we are here to celebrate the energy and the passion and the love that existed to create this place to start with. And this is the last night we'll ever do anything here as the Centro Sociale. But it's not a failure. Failure is a bullshit term for learning. We've all done this thing. We've learned some shit. Hey, look, I'm getting sappy because I'm fucking drunk and I'm fucking pissed that this place is closing. And what the fuck are you gonna do, right? So anyway, God damn it, I forgot what I was talking about. Something about being drunk. Something about being drunk, yeah. So anyway, the point of all this is the Centro is dying, but everything that went along with it will continue long after tonight. So, in conclusion, without further ado, I'd like to raise a toast to the beauty and the love and the revolution that the Centro has been, and everything that will spawn in the future. Kick out the jams, motherfuckers. Rock on.
You know what's great is we've all survived another fucking year. Yeah. So far. What do you think?
I don't know if I've exactly.
Sexy. Yeah, you have. 2000. You get more beautiful every year ago.
I love you, Bob.
I'll tell you what, them pants are about the sexiest thing I've seen in a long time.
Woo!
I let you wear them, but
they wouldn't fit.
I don't think they're a little tight on you.
If they were a little tight on you, I doubt if I could get them over one nut. Hey, I'll tell you what, everybody get ready for champagne, because we're going to do it right. We got fucking champagne at midnight. I got it all lined up over there.
Hey! Hi!
How's it going?
You're standing next to me, close to New Year's. Hey, put me on film.
Sure.
We're gonna play in a minute. I'm gonna teach him a song. I'm from the Howard Stern Show.
I need some light on you, actually. You want to get on stage and talk?
Well, I'll get on stage, but I am from the Howard Stern Show, and it's really cool if I could play music. You want me to get up there?
Sure.
They know who I am. You want me to?
I need you to stand in the light. How about over here by the tree?
Hold up, let me get on stage. Well, I left my shit back here.
That's good. You were saying?
Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. Hi, I'm Rebecca Brantley. You know.
And?
I sing some songs, and I'll sing a song for you right now without any music, because I think that's, you know, New Year's Eve's all about some music. So I have a song for you. It's called Doggy Doggy Rough. And I wish I could, like, if I had a guitar, which I don't, you know, so I'll
Acapella would be fun.
Bum bum ba bum 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 bum. I like sniffing panties. I like seeing your pajamas. Put on them high heels. Let me spin my wheels. Let me get on your back. I think you've a nice stack. Doggy, doggy rough. Doggy, doggy rough. Doggy, doggy rough. Rough, rough doggy. Come on, let's rub one out. I think you like stout. I know you get excited. Just be careful you don't bite it. It's a shame you look like this. It's a shame you look like a fish. Do you want a cocktail? Did you fix me some lobster tails? Doggy, doggy rough. Doggy, doggy rough. Doggy, doggy rough. Rough, rough doggy. This is my song, I wrote it. Rough, rough doggy. One. Rough, rough doggy. One more time. Rough, rough doggy. Now how you go? You go bum, 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 bum. You do like the little dun, 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 dun. Rough, 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 rough doggy. Rough, 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 rough doggy. By the way, you can't steal that because I got it copyrighted, so it's all good. I got a whole bunch more, just so you know. Yeah, I got beers, a whole ton of songs. So anyway.
What's the proper spelling of your name, though? Rebecca Brantley, you said?
Yeah.
How do you spell your name? Just so I can credit you.
REBECCABRANTLEY.
Great.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, but you know.
And the name of the song is Doggy Doggy Rough?
Yep.
ROUGH?
But I'd rather play it though. It just sucks not.
Oh, it sounded great a cappella.
Yeah, a cappella, whatever. I could do it acoustic. I got a guitar for Christmas actually. It's a bass playing song, but actually, you know, it's copyrighted. You can find it on the internet. And yeah,